tell you why I chose to defer, like the factors that I weighed in, and I'm going to tell you why I chose Duke. I never made that video, so because I'm talking about deferring from Duke, y'all are like, whoa, you chose a school? Yeah, if you follow me on my socials, you know I chose a school. If you don't, yes, I chose a school. So I'm going to tell you why I chose the school that I chose opposed to the other schools I was accepted in. And yeah, so let's get into it. What is up, fam? Welcome to Law and Living Color. It's Shar, and as always, I'm here to help guide you through the law school process and legal field as a person of color. As you can see, guys, the scenery is very different. I'm not by my black couch with my pillows on them. I'm no longer in that apartment anymore. We moved to a new apartment pretty much down the street, not too far, still in Atlanta, and so you're gonna see some boxes. Even though we've moved like a week or so ago, it's still some stuff that needs to get unpacked. This video is mainly a huge life update because, as the title says, I am deferring my enrollment for Duke Law. So I never really made a commitment video for YouTube. I did for my socials. So on Instagram and TikTok, I made a, I guess, what law school I've committed to video, and that is Duke Law. And of course, I was under the impression that I was gonna go this year. I had no idea that I was gonna defer. That didn't even cross my mind. The reason why I'm doing it was because Duke offered it. So, like many schools this cycle, Duke over-enrolled a lot. I think the class size now in the email was like 20-30%, and Duke prides itself on having a small class size, and this year, that is not gonna happen. So they offered deferment. And so they have two options that they provided students, which was a non-binding and a binding option. A non-binding option would mean that I still have my scholarship that I was awarded. However, and I have my seat deposit. I still have my seat. I don't have my seat deposit, but I still have my seat reserved for me. And I can apply to other schools. The binding option is that I cannot apply to other schools. I still have my scholarship, but I also have a $5,000 increase for my scholarship. And yeah, I have my seat. For both, you still have to put in the $500 seat deposit. One is sooner than the other. So if you do the non-binding, of course, they're assuming that you would be applying to other schools. So they give you until my birthday, April 22nd, to put in your deposit. But if you're doing the binding, then you have until December of this year to put in your deposit. I made a video about where I got in and what schools accepted me. That was actually my first video, so if you want to check that out, you can. So I ended up choosing Duke because, well, I've always wanted to go to Duke since I was an undergrad. Well, since I was before undergrad, since I was like 17 or 18, I've always wanted to go to Duke. But also there's a lot of things that Duke offers that I really love. Their employment outcomes are A1 for me when it comes to big law and then when it comes to clerkships. I'm kind of leaning towards doing big law once I come out of law school. However, judicial clerkships have also piqued my interest, and Duke has literally pushed employment for those. So a lot of people that go to Duke, they go into those careers. Duke's location is also great. It's not too far from Atlanta. I have a lot of family down here, and I didn't want to be too far out. So it's only about a 5-hour drive. And also the location isn't everything. A lot of people from Duke don't stay and practice in North Carolina. They go to New York, they go to Atlanta, they go to Chicago, they go to a whole bunch of different places. I don't know exactly where I want to practice yet. I know that I do want to practice elsewhere other than Atlanta. I don't want to stay here forever in the sense of after graduation. Also, Duke's class size was very, very intriguing to me. Out of all the top 14 schools, it has one of the smallest class sizes, which is very appealing to me as a first generation student. I'm a first generation undergrad. I'm also first generation law, so I have no real guidance on how to navigate things. So to have a professor really spend a lot more time and focus on you and have that accessibility with that professor is very important for me. I would definitely base your decision off what law should you choose based off of your priorities. So my 3 priorities were employment, location, and cost. So which I think should be a lot of people's priority. Employment kind of goes in hand with the prestige of the school, but not necessarily at the same time, just depends. But for me, those are my 3 things. I advocate for people to have those same 3 things. Now, what order they are, that's up to the person. So like cost for me was the last thing that I considered. I was and am willing to go into debt for law school. Some people are not. Some people have families. Some people just aren't willing to pay that money back. I get it, trust me, totally understandable. But for me, it was kind of like, if I'm investing here and I feel like I'll be able to pay that money back in a manner. There were schools that offered me full ride. There were schools that offered me full ride with a stipend. And I know some of y'all are like, crazy for that. But for me, I think the outcomes of Duke were kind of were potentially higher in regards to what I want to do, opposed to the schools that did offer me those things. So that's why I went the Duke route. Okay, so you guys know why I want to go to Duke. Cool. Or why I chose Duke. So why did I defer? Like, I applied, did all of that, was preparing. Like, guys, I made a registry and everything. Like, yo, I'm going off 2020, 2021, fall 2021, class of 24. Yeah, not no more. The reason why I deferred is because first off, they made that offer. Like I said, I never, ever considered deferring. Like, that was not, it wasn't even in my head to do it. Like people were like, oh, I'm gonna defer. Like, people were going in and applying knowing that they would probably defer the next year. That was not at all what I was on. I was really thinking I was gonna go to law school this year. It wasn't until they offered the deferment in that email where I really sat down and considered taking another year off. So for me, I'm 24. I'm not a non-traditional law student. Like, like a non-traditional law student would be someone that was out of school for like 5-6 years and then decided to go back to law school. So go back to school and go to law school. So for me, that's not the case. I have been out of school. I graduated in 2019, so I have been out of school for 2 years now, which is crazy to think about. I did, like, as I've said in other videos, I knew that I didn't want to go to law school right out of undergrad, mainly because studying for the LSAT required so much of my time that I could not juggle that with a job and school. It had to be like, I just had school then LSAT, or I just had a job in LSAT, and it just wasn't working like that at the time. So I decided to take a gap year to study for the LSAT. So literally that whole year was dedicated to studying, and then after that, it was dedicated to helping other people study. For me, some of the reasons why I deferred was like, yeah, I would have a whole year doing whatever I wanted and have Duke in my back pocket, and understand that I'm going to Duke next year. Like, that's like a dream. Because most people, like, the whole year before law school, they're studying, they're applying, they're getting recommendations. Like, they're running around with a chicken with their head cut off. And then they get accepted and they have to go to school in like 2 months. Like, that's 90% of the time how it works. And I was like, I knew that was how it works, but now I have this deferment, and I'm like, wait a minute, so you're telling me I can do whatever I want for you before I go to law school? So yeah, that was a big factor. My mental health, I really need a break. Like, I genuinely need a break, and I need to be able to do stuff that I want to do. Money. So like I said, cost wasn't a huge thing for me, but I do want to have some money for law school. I do have a savings that's already built up for law school, but the idea of having another year of working and being able to save more money was so much more appealing as well. And then not having to be so penny pinching about it. Like, I've been very penny pinching because back when I'm going to law school in 3 months, I'm going to law school in 2 months. Like, it was like I was counting it down, so I was making sure I wasn't spending any money on anything. And like, now it's kind of like, whew, like, I can buy this, I can buy that. And it's not necessarily I'm gonna go crazy and not having savings. Like, I don't intend on tapping into my savings whatsoever. I do still intend to, save some money, but it just feels like there's like a weight off of my shoulders. Like, okay, I can relax a little bit. Like, I could really like do things up. Like, I could live it up. And like, that was a huge factor. And then on top of that, like, COVID happened and I did not see my family at all, and they lived down the street from me. I did not see them whatsoever. And so this year I get to hang out with them as much as possible. So instead of hanging out with them a month before I go off for like 3 years, I get to hang out with them like a whole year and some change before I go off. I have a boyfriend too, and so it's nice to hang out with him too for the year instead of like going off in the next 2 months as well. So it was just a lot of things. I mean, my friend said it best. He was like, look, you're going to spend the year regardless. You might as well have fun your first year rather than sitting up here studying the first year. Like, you're still going to go to law school regardless. A year is still going to be spent. Like, whatever you do, a year is going to go away. And I say all that to say, Duke is not the only one doing this, y'all. Like, a lot of schools over-enrolled. I know I talked about the Notre Dame fiasco, in which they literally did what they did with the deposits. Instead of enrolling everyone they gave acceptance to, they were like, yo, time 5 minutes, y'all got 5 minutes to deposit. So they didn't do what Notre Dame did. I don't think anybody did what Notre Dame did, because that was just crazy. If you're gonna admit me, like, give me the opportunity to fulfill and go forward with the offer that you're giving me. But schools did over-enroll, so Duke isn't the only one. Boston College, I believe, also over-enrolled, and they are offering deferment. UF is offering deferment for people on the wait list, so they're offering admission, but you go in 2022. Just to give you guys some insight and how this cycle was for Duke, over 46% of applications. Like, they received 46 above what they typically get. And that's a high increase. That's almost half of what you typically get is increase. Admissions officers and I especially will promote, like, I will push for y'all to apply as early as possible. Like, you don't want to apply any later than Halloween. Like, that should be your deadline. Like, you should have everything in, recommendations, LSAT, GPA by October 31st. Like, it should be in to the school. I say that because you have better scholarship odds and you also have better admissions odds. But I want to emphasize that this cycle was freaking crazy, okay? And what made it so crazy in my eyes is because the LSAT became way more accessible. So more people were able to take the LSAT. The fact that the LSAT was something that you had to drive possibly 2-3 hours to go do, you had these tablets. It was all like, first it was paper, then it was tablets. It was so complex that so many people just didn't do it because they didn't want to do all that. On top of the fact that it's costly, like, it's $200 per test. And if you don't get it waived, which you can, but that's a process in and of itself. So the fact that you could take the LSAT at home, and then it was only 3 sections, like, it went from a 5-section test to a 4 to a 3. Like 2 or 3, y'all. Ain't no test section. It was like every single section was weighted evenly. It was short. Like, I want to emphasize that studying for a 5-section test is a lot different than studying for a 3-section one. And it's not that it's just significantly easier. It's that time, bro. Because a 5-section test, you have to take a break. It's like a whole 4 or 5 hour process. But a 3-section test, you done with that in 2 hours, you good. No break, no nothing. Just kill the 3 sections, done. And then I was studying, when I first started studying for the LSAT, they had the writing section the same day, bro. You had to do the writing the same day you took the test. Like, it ain't like that no more. When I took the LSAT Flex, it was 3 sections, and I took my writing whenever I wanted to. Now, you want to take it as soon as possible so you can, like, for me, I had to take it to get my score back. So, no, that was after me. So I had to take it, it was for something why I had to hurry up and write it, because I remember I had to hurry up and write it. I think it was for something to be released, I had to, whatever. And so the availability and accessibility of the Flex, and well, it's going to be just the LSAT in August, is just so much better. And I do think that's why people did better on it, was because of that, because of the 3 sections, because it was a shorter test, because it was completely digital. I think all that contributed to why so many people did well on it and why this application cycle was so crazy. On top of the fact that a lot of people deferred from last cycle because of COVID, and you're having the same problem, and people aren't deferring because of COVID, they're deferring because of over enrollment. I know I probably rambled y'all's ears off. I am sorry. I just did feel the need to give y'all this life update so y'all know, as I will continue to keep making content, because there's still a lot of stuff that I know about the process that I've experienced. I also just be posting content on an experiential basis as well. So, like, if I travel or do anything like that, y'all can get some insight to that. What it's like to take a gap year. You will have that full, like, from here on out, you will see what it's like to take a full, complete gap year from law school. No LSAT, no nothing. Just what it's like to just do what you want. So you'll get an insight to what that's like. I'm going to try to get some people on here to talk. I do know some people that are currently in law school that have already graduated law school. I plan on getting on the show for y'all to really get like a more, I guess a more precise sense of what things are like. And for me too, like, I don't know. So it would be great for me to get some insight as well. So I will be working to get that out for y'all as well. I will continue to be making LSAT tip videos, application tip videos, off the top videos, as this one is, facts or whack videos. Actually, I have to do another one of those. So yeah, if you like this comment and want to see more like it, as always, please like, comment, and subscribe. Follow me on IG. All of my accounts are below in the comment section. So yeah, hit me up with any comments, questions, or concerns. I'm always here, and I will always get back to you. I do have to end things off with a quote, but this is one quote that I always lived by. I don't know who it's from. I never knew who it was from, but I think everyone knows it when I say it and when they hear it, and it's trust the process. Peace, guys.